Hi boys and girls, this is lesson 7.2, Exploring Fraction Multiplication Situations. Please get that written in your notebook as well as today's date, and when you are done with that, come on back. Alright, so here's the math message. The Social Studies Club wants to make paper mache globes. I hope you've gotten to make paper mache in your life, it's fun. To make the paste, each club member will mix 3/4 of a cup white glue with 1/4 of a cup water. The club has 9 members. They have 1 quart of water. Is there enough for everyone? So I want you to think through, how do you solve this problem? What kind of math do you need to do? Give yourself an estimate. Give yourself a chance to solve it correctly. And then when you're done, come back and check to see if we did it in a similar way. There's lots of different strategies you could be using, so you give it your best effort. Okay, so here are some of the ways you may have solved that. You may have used repeated addition. So there's 1/4 of a cup of water plus another 1/4, and I would do this 9 times, right? Because there were 9 group members, and each one needs 1/4 of a cup of water. So that's 9/4. I know I can't leave it as that improper fraction, so I'm going to say how many 4s go in the 9. That's 2, and I'm going to have 1/4 left over, right? 9/4 is the same as 2 and 1/4. So I could have done that this way, and I could represent that addition equation with the multiplication equation, right? So I could have said 1/4, and I'll write that in for you. I could have said 1/4 times 9 equals 9/4, right? Oh, if only my handwriting would be like I want on here, right? Okay, so that's a possibility. That's still that repeated addition concept. I could have used relational thinking. Well, I know that 4 1/4 are 1 whole, so 8 1/4 are 2 whole, and that leftover 1/4 gives me 2 and 1/4. It could be drawn out this way to go with this relational thinking. I could have just drawn a picture. Okay, there's a 1/4, that all 4 of those make 1 cup, 2 cups, 1 left over, right? Could have done it that way. Could have done fraction circles and had each one of these 4ths equal 1/4 of a cup. So you would see that's what I end up with there, right? 2 and 1/4. Any of those would have gotten me the right answer. Let's talk through some of these questions on the right now. So if this is my answer, 2 and 1/4, between what 2 whole numbers does that number of cups of water needed lie? Between what 2 whole numbers? I hope you know I'm saying, well, 2 1/4 lies between 2 and 3. It's a little more than 2 whole cups, but it's not quite 3 whole cups. All right, so then the next question, this is going to get you thinking again. How much water was left over after the activity? We said that I had 1 quart of water, right? The social studies group had 1 quart of water, and we're using 2 1/4 cups. So you need to draw back and try and think about, okay, let's see. Here's my big G for gallon. Then I've got a quart. In that quart is 2 pints. In the pints are 2 cups, right? So I have a quart, which is 4 cups, right? 4 cups minus 2 1/4 cups. Hopefully you know that means I would have left over 1 3/4 cups, because 3/4 plus 1/4 is 1 whole. Add that to my 2 plus 1, which is 3, which gives me 4. Okay? And so if I have 1 3/4 left over, what 2 whole numbers does that answer lie between? Well, it's more than 1, but it's less than 2. So that fraction lies between, that mixed number rather, lies between 1 and 2. Then the question is, okay, so if I have 1 3/4 cups left over, Is there enough leftover water for everyone to make another batch of paste? And how do you know? No? Hopefully you would say, well, let's see, I needed 2 1/4 for everyone to make a batch, and I only have 1 3/4 left. So I know that 2 1/4 is greater than 1 3/4. So no, it's not enough. I don't have enough. Okay, with the leftover water, though, how many students could make another batch? I know I don't have enough for everyone to make one, but how many could? And how do you know that? So draw back. You know that it takes a quarter for each person. So how many 1/4 am I going to get out of the 1 3/4? Well, hopefully you could tell yourself, well, I'm going to get 4/4 out of this one, plus 3/4 is going to give me 7/4, so 7 people, right? I could do 4/4 plus 3/4 equals 1 3/4, which is equal to 7 people. 7 students more could get it. 7 students. Okay? All right, moving on to another thing now. The Social Studies Club has a 1/2 gallon of white glue. Will there be enough glue for everyone? So we're having the same group of people. We still have the 9 people, and we still have the same problem saying how much we need in order to make paper mache. So let's dial back really quickly. We said that you need 3/4 of a cup white glue, right? 3/4 of a cup white glue for each person, and I have a 1/2 gallon. Please try to do the math that would go with that. Write down whatever strategy you're thinking might work in order to solve that, and give yourself an answer, and then when you get that done, come back and check to see. I'm going to go through some strategies for that problem too. There's the question again. All right, here's some ways you could have solved it. You could have said, well, each one needs 3/4, so 3/4 plus 3/4 plus 3/4 all the way up in order to get to 9 people, right? 9 people is, that's why I have 9 of these, because there's 9 students. That would equal 27/4. That's the improper fraction. To convert that to a mixed number, how many 4s go in 27? Well, 6 full ones with 3/4 left over. So 6 3/4 cups is what I need in order to make the paper mache, for everyone to be able to make the paper mache, okay? So I could use that, repeated addition. You know, I could also then use multiplication there, right? I could say 3/4 times 9 equals 27/4. That's that same concept, but done with multiplication, right? And then I could convert this again to the 6 3/4. I could use relational thinking again. So I know there are 2 3/4 and 1 1/2. Therefore, 4 3/4 would make 3. And if 4 3/4 are 3, then 8 3/4 are 6. And another one to make the 9 people would give me 6 3/4. Here's what that looks like as a picture as well. I could just draw a picture. That's another option, obviously, right? So I'm going to have to draw it out this amount of times in order to figure that out. Okay, so it's going to take me 6 3/4 cups, and I had a 1/2 gallon. So 1/2 gallon. Let's again help ourselves. We'll draw our big G. There's my gallon. I have 1/2 of a gallon, which means I'm going to have 2 of the Q's, right? Which means I'm going to have 4 pints, 2 quarts, 4 pints, 8 cups, correct? 2 C's in each one of those P's, gives me 8 cups. That's how much I have in a half a gallon. 8 cups equals half a gallon. So if I'm using 6 3/4, I'm going to subtract that from the 8, and knowing I have to borrow from this 8 then to give me 7 whole ones, and now I'm going to put this one as fourths. That 1 whole became 4/4 and subtract. Therefore, I'm going to have 1 1/4 left over. 1 1/4 is how much is left over. Oops, that's going to go actually to this question, right? And is that enough for everyone to make another batch of paste? How do you know? Well, it's really far from having enough for everyone, right? I know that 1 1/4 is less than 6 3/4, and that's how I know that I don't have enough. And with the leftover glue, how many students could make another batch of paste? That's my next question. Well, I have 1 1/4 cups left over, and we said we needed 3/4 of a cup for each person. 3/4 plus 3/4 is 1 1/2. So I actually only have enough for 1, because 1 1/4 is less than 1 1/2, which is what it would take for 2. So only 1. I only have enough for 1 more person. Okay. Lots of work there, lots of different strategies you could have used. I hope you have a strategy that you like. You're going to use that strategy going forward to work on the baking muffins page. You've got 2 pages here on baking muffins, a really good recipe for you there, and then having you work out some of the problems. So you've got this page and this page. So I want you to give those a try. Do your best. And then I do have the answers on the end of this video, so you can come back and check it, and know that we'll be going over these in class as well. So if you have questions, circle it, star it, and we will make sure we talk about it in class. Okay? When you're all done, come back and check it, and I hope you have a good night. There's the answers to that first page, and the second page, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.